So for number one, okay, this was a nice review, right? It says write an equation in slope-intercept form that passes through -2, -1, and is what? Perpendicular. So what does it mean to be perpendicular to one of the lines? What do you know about the slope of the perpendicular lines? When you multiply, you get? Yeah, so when you multiply both of them, you get -1. So if to look at the line 2, what's the slope of line 2? Correct. The slope of line 2 is 3. No, line 2 is 3. Slope of line 2, the second one line, is -1/3. So the slope of our line has to be 3. Right? Is that what you meant? Yeah. Yeah, because if you multiply the slope together, I separated them together. Line 1 is the line that I'm looking for. Line 2 is the one that they give us, right? That has to be perpendicular to. So line 2 slope is, as you can see, is -1/3. Line 1 slope is 3. Therefore, you plug in y equals to 3x plus b. Now we have to find b. How do we find b? Plug in the point that it passes through, -2, 1. You guys remember that? Yeah. So when you plug in, you should have all gotten b equals to 5. So there's your equation. 3x, y equals to 3x plus 5. Okay? Question?
I thought if it was perpendicular, then it was on the, it had the same y.
No, same y. If two lines, no. No. Why? No, if they're perpendicular, they don't have to have the same y-intercept. They could, but they don't have to. So if the two lines are perpendicular, all you have to worry about is what? The slope. When you multiply the slopes together, you get -1. Right, guys? Okay. Any question? Okay. So example 2 says they now want a line in standard form. It's a little bit different than last one, right? They want this in standard form that passes through or contains 1, 4, and is parallel to this line. I'm going to call that second line, line 2. Thank you. So that, what is the slope of the line 2? 1. Right, guys? It's 1x plus 6, correct? So slope is 1. Therefore, what must the slope of the line that we're looking for has to be? Same. 1. Exactly right. So, and it has to pass through 1, 4. We do the same thing again, right? We know it's going to have to look like y equals to 1x plus b because they have to have the same slope. Would you agree? So y has to equal to 1x plus b. Let's plug in 1, 4, right? The point that they're telling us it goes through or contains. And then you can find b, can't you not? B comes out to 3. Therefore, are we done with that? Can we just write y equals to x plus 3? They want in standard form. What does it mean? Standard form has to have, what does a standard form look like? Ax plus by equals to some number, right? Remember, x and y has to be one side. It has to equal to some number. So right now it's in slope-intercept form. So how do I change this to standard form? Amy?
You subtract x.
Yeah, you subtract x from both sides. When you do, I get -x plus y equals 3. Normally, we don't want the first coefficient to be negative, so that's easy to fix. Multiply both sides by -1, and you get simply x minus y equals to -3. Does that make sense? So normally, we want the first coefficient of the x to be positive when you write things in standard form. Okay? So multiply both sides by -1. That's what we get. Any question there?
No.
You'll be okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to example 3. Okay? So this is what we've been working on a lot lately. So finding, graphing parabola. So we're graphing this y equals to 2x squared plus 4x minus 3, right? So we have to find the what? First, we have to find the? Yeah, it says find the x-coordinate of the vertex, right? And of course, what is your a in this case?
2.
What is your b?
4.
What is your c? -3. So when you plug into the -b over 2a, by the way, did you all use parentheses like this? Yes? What do we get when we plug in? -1. Okay? So that's my vertex. That's the x-coordinate of my vertex. How many forgot -1 as the x-coordinate of the vertex? Does that make sense? All right, once you find the x-coordinate, what do they tell you? Find, of course, the y-coordinate, and that's easy. All you have to do is plug it in, right? That's why it says f of -b over 2a. So you basically looking for f of -1. Who's got this one? What did you guys get when you plug in? How about, okay, one person got it? No one else got, okay. Aleph, what did you get? -1. When you plug in -1, you got -5. That's correct. So that's your vertex. -1, -5. Easy enough?
Yes.
Okay, so now that we have this, what do they tell us to do next? Of course, we need to find the nice values of x. Which values of x are we going to use if I know that my x coordinate of the vertex is -1? What are the so how many points do you need? 5. So we need 2 other points right side of -1, which are what? 0, 1. 2 other points left side of -1, which are? Okay, did you all get this?
Yes.
So there, whoops, there's the table. Okay, and there's the picture. So you should have gotten for -3. Have you noticed something interesting? Like -3, 3, -2, -3, -1, -5, 0, 3, and 1, 3. You see how they kind of match? Like if right? Like -2 and 0, right? The points right next to it is -3 and -3, and then -3 goes with 3, 1 goes with 3. So here, when you graph, this is what you get. Right? Any question? Okay. All right. So what's your right now? Do we have a minimum? Do we have a max? No, greatest value or the least value on this one? We have a least value, right? Because it opens upward, right? What's your least value? Least value is? What is it? -5. Okay, very good. This value is -5 because that's the y, right? That's the y coordinate of that vertex. What about the axis of symmetry? What's the equation of the axis of symmetry? Let's do this one too. Okay. Annie?
The axis of symmetry.
Yeah.
is-
Equation of the axis of symmetry is?
It would be x equal, or it would be -1.
No, that's
No, wait.
equation. So it's this equation of this axis of symmetry. This one right here. What's the equation of this axis of symmetry?
X equals
Yeah.
-1.
Yeah, x equals 2, -1. Same as the x coordinate of that vertex, right? Remember? You guys remember that? Okay. By the way, it says don't like connect these dots and make V shape. That'd be wrong. It's a U shape, right? And then it's just sort of a nice curve. Okay, are we okay with these? How many forgot them right? How many forgot the right graph? Any question?
No.
Okay, let's move on to the next example, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at these together. First of all, it says find f of 0. That's easy. To find f of 0, all you have to do is f of 0, you just plug in x equals 0, correct? So 4 times 0 plus 6, what is it, guys? Yeah, f of 0 is 6. Now, what about f of x equals 0? That's part A. What about part B? That's a little bit different. Now you plug in f of x equals to what? 0, so it's 0 equals to what? 4x plus 6. So you guys see the difference? Remember we talked about this before, right? So then we're asking ourselves which values of x do we need so that the y becomes 0, basically. So well, how do you solve this? Subtract 6 from both sides. So you get 4x, you get -6. And then you get x equals to -6 over 4. What's that? X equals -3 over 2. Okay, any question? So there's part A and then part B. Okay, same thing for here. F of 0 equals 3 times 0 minus 2, which is of course f of 0 equals to -2, right? And now for the other one, 0 equals to what? 3x minus 2. Add 2 to both sides. Divide both sides by 3. Did you get x equals to 2/3 for f of x equals 0? So that value will make this equation equal 0, right? The y equals 0. All right, so example 3 is an interesting one. I don't know if you guys remember from your homework last time. It says g of f of 2. It looks like it's kind of complicated, but what's it really mean? You have to find what first, guys? F of 2 first, because when you find f of 2, what is that? That's some number, isn't it? So let's find f of 2. What's f of 2? Well, f of 2 equals to, look at here, they tell us what f of 2 is 2 squared, which is what? 4. So basically this is really saying what? Find g of 4. That's all they're saying. Does that make sense? And do we know how to find g of 4? You plug in, well, we know what g of x is, right?
Yes.
So it says g of x equals 2x, so what g of 4 is basically 2 times what? 4, which is what? 8. So there you go. We found it. That's the answer. So g of f of 2 is simply 8. Does that make sense? And again, what about this? What do you have to find first in this case? G of negative 1. Do we know how to find g of negative 1? Well, look at g. Yes, g of negative 1 is simply what? 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. Well, this is basically saying then find f of what? Negative 2, which is, well, we plug it in here. F of negative 2 will be something squared, which is negative 2 squared, which is what? 4. So what have we found? F of g of negative 1 is simply 4. Does that make sense? Okay, how many people got those right? Okay. Do you see what to do for these? Any questions? Are we good? Okay. Good.